Hello everyone, this is part 2 of how to fur your fursuit head. I will apologise that it's quite later than it should be. I ran out of a certain fur colour for this head, so I couldn't complete it. But I have now. So first of all, I'm going to show you the shaving and the gluing. I like to give it a brush out. I think here I'm taking out all the pins that were holding it in place, then giving it a very rough shave. What I would recommend doing now though, which is what I have moved on to, is to shave your fur pieces down before you sew them together. But I filmed this video a little bit ago now, so I'd recommend shaving them first before gluing the fur, or sewing the fur together, if that makes sense. But for this video I'm just going to explain what's going on. So here I am giving just a very rough shave. Not neat, just rough to get all the long fur out the way so it makes it easier to glue down. Now I brush out again to make sure I get all the fur out the seams. On my phone for a little bit. And then I start off the gluing. You always want to start from the muzzle and work your way back. So that way you can pull the fur backwards and forwards easier without not being able to reach certain parts. Because if you stop at the top of the head, I find it's harder to pull it back to reach to certain parts, like this bit here. Pulled it back, gluing, holding it down to dry, pulling it back and gluing. What I say about gluing is don't glue the edges around the ears and around the neck, because you need about 1 centimetre of fur to sew onto. So do not glue around the ears, just 1 centimetre of that fur, and around the neck, so that you've got something to sew to when you're doing the neck. Here I'm doing the bottom of the jaw. Putting it back again and starting on the muzzle. So I like to move backwards, so start off obviously the muzzle, move back, do tiny bits of the cheeks, tiny bits of the nose bridge, go more on the cheeks, then the eyebrows, around the eyes and so on. Just basically make sure you can reach areas. You don't want to glue like the whole cheek down and not be able to reach near the eye. I also like to brush back on the fur when I've just done the glue. I find it helps it really stick. And like I say, take your time on it. You don't want to rush it, the glue not be dry properly. You move to a different area and then that area's moved because the glue hadn't dried properly. I will apologise if you can hear sounds in the background though, I've got cats about. So here I am doing the nose bridge. Working a bit on the cheek. A little bit on the other cheek. Just around the eyebrows. Really make sure that the fur is tucked in the gaps to make the eyebrows really pop. More on the eyebrows here. I think I'm doing around the eyes at this bit. Other eyebrow. Bit more on this eyebrow. And I'm working on the cheek here, I believe. More cheek. And that's all the gluing. I cut it off there. Now you want to go with the proper shave. The good shave. And this I will say, take your time on. Because you don't want to shave it wrong and get to the backing of the fur. You do not want to see the backing of the fur, because that means you'll have to redo that piece. Which is a bit of a pain, since you just glued it down, so take your time on it. and go with the direction of the fur. Go over the same spot a few times, just take your time. Depending how comfortable you are with shaver, or the shaver, let's say, you can start off with a very short blade, or you can start off with a more longer fur blade, and then go down to a more shorter blade, depending how comfortable you are with it. Because I've been shaving for so long, I'm comfortable using a short blade. Working on the cheek here. And I'm wearing a mask at this point. It depends on you, but I would recommend wearing some sort of mask so you don't breathe in the fur, because it's a real pain when you breathe in the fur, and the fur's not good for your lungs. So that's really up to you though. Working around the eyes. And obviously you'd shave the character depending how your character looks. Working around the eyes. And I do believe I bring out some scissors to trim it around the eyes a little bit. Because there are some areas you cannot reach with the shaver, so you have to go in with scissors. But just be very careful how you do it. Brushing out again here. Yeah, here I am with the scissors, just getting rid of some of that fur I can't reach with the shaver. Just going over some areas. I do apologise if you hear like a chest gurgle every now and then. It's just something I've been born with, unfortunately. So you can't see much here, but I'm pretty sure I'm just doing more shaving. That's one side shave compared to the other. Now you'd fully shave it. Now here I'm going to show you how to hide the lines of the mouth. Sew around the nostril bits if that's what you have for your suit, and line around the eyes. This is so you can cover the raw seams. I'm so sorry about this. So here I'm cutting a very thin strip of fleece throughout the gums. I'm using pink because the gums are pink, but if you lined your mouth with black, you can use a black outline. So you just need a thin strip of fleece. Just sorting out things here while I wait for the glue gun to warm up. Now, start with the corner mouth and then work. You only need a very thin layer of glue. You don't want much glue at all because you don't want it seeping out the sides. And you don't need much to hold it on either, so just a very thin layer of glue. If glue does so happen to pop out, lick the tip of your scissors and push it back in. The reason I say lick the top of the scissors because it stops the glue sticking to the scissors. And here you just want to go along the outline. Here I'm trimming away some extra fur. I'm just working my way around. Trim away some excess fur here. And I've just got to the corner. Then you want to do the top lip as well, to hide both of the edges. Here I'm doing the smile parts. The smile part's sort of hard to explain. You just need a shape that looks like a smile, if that makes sense. Something similar to that. You need two of them for both sides. And you glue it in like this. So it makes your character look like it's smiling. Bit of glue and stick it in. And here I'm going to trim away the fur at the back so that the fleece glues to the backing. This is the only time you want to see the backing, is when you're trying to glue fleece down. Apologise for the camera angle, I'll be if I change it again. Yep, my face, hello. Bit of glue. Don't need much for the thin layer. And hold that smile down. There you go. Now, I'm going to show you how to hide the seams around the nostrils. This is if your character has nostrils. So, that's another thing you didn't want to glue either. Do not glue around the nostrils. But this is if your suit has nostrils, obviously. Get a thread colour that's as close of a match as you can to the fur. And now you want to do a hidden stitch. If that's hard to explain. A hidden stitch or an invisible stitch. It's kind of in the name, you don't see the stitch. So you go along the fur, along the fleece, along the fur, along the fleece, and you pull it. I will link a video to a hidden stitch in the description, so you know what I mean. But so it hides the edges. So you still got in the fur side and then in the fleece side. So not like a straight stitch. Like I said, I will link a video so you can understand. So they end up looking like this. So the edges are all hidden. And this suit's nose is actually all the way hollow, so you can stick your finger from one nostril all the way to the other nostril. So you could put like a rave stick in there if you wanted. Now for the eyes time. It's sort of similar to the lips. You get a thin piece of black fleece and glue around the edges. Here I'm trimming away all the excess fur so that you can glue the fleece down. Very thin layer to the fleece. Start in the corner, or start where you like, but I prefer to start in the corners of the eyes and then work your way around. Obviously you can take as much time as you need. You don't want to get glue in the eye or on the fur. You can see it coming along, just gluing around the raw edge. Luckily for this, it doesn't take very long to dry. Almost done. When you get to the other black fleece, overlap it only slightly so that when you cut the fleece you're not going to see a gap. So just overlap the black bit slightly. Not much. Cut away, and there you go. Look how much neater it makes the eyes look. And it also makes the eyes real pop out, I find. And I believe the ears are next. Yep, here for the ears. Cut away your tape pattern. So I like to do a front and a back and then the inside of the ear. Obviously if your ear has markings you cut out those two. But this character is just all one colour luckily. Pretty much all one colour. Here I'm cutting out the inside of the ear. And then you want to trace it onto your fur colour. Trace around, and then you also want to do a very slight seam allowance. Do that with all of the ears. This one I had to make a dart in the back piece because it was too curved. And this is the inside of the ear. I'm using straight up fleece, but you can use whatever you want for the inside of the ear. Minky, fur, up to you. Now you want to sew the middle of the ear to the front of the ear. Like so. You can hand stitch on machines, up to you. And now here I'm showing the front to the back. You can see where I've sewed up that dart at the top to give it the curve. And here I go, sewing them together. I hand stitch the middle of the ear because I find it's easier than going under the machine, but that's just preference. I believe I'm talking to someone here because I'm stopped sewing. Yeah, I think I'm talking to someone. I believe I was live streaming at this point, so I was talking to people. If that's actually interest to anyone, I live stream on Twitch. I'll have a link in the description for that as well. When you pin the furs together, make sure you tuck in as much fur as possible. The odd little pieces are right, but you don't want a lot of fur sticking out. And when you get to the end, go backwards and forwards so that it makes it really tight. So that's the front and the back of the ear, all done. You can see I've got the odd pieces of fur sticking out, but you want to get as much tucked in as possible. Turn it inside out, and there you go. Now give it a brush. A wire brush is better because it's really good at getting all the stuck fur pieces that are in the seams out. The tip of the ear is where it seems to get stuck the most, so just make sure you get as much out as possible. And that's the ear ready to glue onto the head. Gluing's a bit complicated, but you want to start with the ear inside out, glue the tip, and then slowly work your way down, a bit like a sock if that makes sense. So the tip of the fur goes to the tip of the ear, and then you glue little by little and work your way down. So a little bit there, gently slide it down. This way you can make sure you've got all the ear properly, firmly stuck on the head. So a little bit at the back, a little bit at the front, slowly work your way down. But while you're trying to work your way down, make sure you've got the front of the ear, on the front of the ear. You don't want it wonky. So it's just a very slow progress this is. So yeah, you just work your way down. It does take a little long, but outcome is great. Yeah, another glue stick right there. And when you get to the bottom of the ear, same like I do with the head, leave a bit of fur. So this is it, one ear glued compared to the other one. You can see the difference. And that's the one ear glued and shaved compared to the other one. Changes in size quite a bit. Now it's for sewing the head fur to the ear fur. For this one, because the fur tucks quite a bit in, I'm gluing that one little bit, but the rest will be hidden stitched. So that little corner bit there will be glued because that'll be very hard to reach with a sewing needle. But the rest you want to do a hidden stitch. Here I'm trying to show you how to do it. You go through one side of the fur and out, and then through the other side of the fur, back and out. And then you pull it. So it hides the edges of the fur. And do that all the way around the ear. So I'm just showing you here. All the other bits are hidden. And the bit you still need to do, so just go all the way around the ear. And then when that's done, you've got the ears on. Next is onto the neck. You want to measure around the edge of the fur. Okay, I'll determine how wide you want your neck. Here I've pinned the measuring tape in place because I find it's easier to measure if it's all pinned in place, doesn't move. So it's 75 centimeters to about 29 inches. And what I recommend is to add 5 centimeters onto it. So you want to do a very long rectangle. Considering this character has a pink neck, I've drawn the pink part in. Well, he's got a pink front of the neck. So that's the pink. And then that's the blue. Depending what markings your character have, you have to draw them down. And then you want to start cutting the fur out. This character has sort of scales on his suit. So I'm going to show you to do is you brush some fur back. So shave this bit very slightly. You only need to take about a centimetre of it off. And you end up with something like that. So do it all the way down. Gives the scale look but in fur. Now attach that onto your blue. Obviously if your character's neck's all one colour, you don't have to worry about splitting it up. Just do a long rectangle of that one colour. Take one end, sew it to the other end. You're making a tube basically. There you go, you've got a tube. Now you want to make some just slits, normal slits, one at the front, 2 at the sides, and 1 at the back. So it's the one at the front, 2 at the sides, and 1 at the back. Now you're going to want to make like a pizza sort of shape out of fur to fill in these triangle gaps here. So measure this side, and then draw that onto the paper, and measure the bottom. So a little bit like this, pizza shape. The curves at the bottom is to give it the neck. So I'm doing 3 blue, and obviously 1 pink. So you get the pink fur, and sew it in there. Here I've just got them all pinned in place. You can do machine sew or hand sew, it's up to you. I do a little bit of both. I will hand sew the little points, the corners, into the fur and then machine sew the rest, as you can sort of see. You can see my black hand stitching one and then sew machine the rest because I find it's easier than trying to get the corner in the machine. Now you want to pin it to the head, so you pin it to the fur and balaclava. So you've got 3 layers to sew through, so it is a little bit tricky. So I will say take your time on this because it can be awkward to get to, but then the head will be complete when you're done. here, showing it all sewn for all 3 layers. And your head is done. And this is what it looks like. Sits on your shoulders quite nicely. And sits on the back quite nicely. Obviously if your character had horns or hair, you can add them on. Like this character here, he's got hair. I didn't record that because I didn't think that was part of the, head process. But he had hair that he's got put on. So yep, fur's all sitting on quite nicely. And this head is all complete. All the character needs now is a pair of paws and he's all ready to be sent off. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I will post more videos in the future. Thank you all for everyone who's subscribed to me. Bye! Bye everyone!